The Paulin Dvor massacre was an act of mass murder committed by soldiers of the Croatian Army in the village of Paulin Dvor, near the town of Osijek on the 11th of December 1991 during the Croatian War of Independence. Of the 19 victims, 18 were ethnic Serbs, and 1 was a Hungarian national. The ages of the victims ranged from 41 to 85, and 8 of the 19 victims were women. 2 former Croatian soldiers were convicted for the role in the killings and were sentenced to 15 and 11 years, respectively. In November 2010, Croatian President Ivo Josipović laid a wreath at the graveyard of the massacre victims and officially apologized for the killings. Background: in 1990, following the electoral defeat of the government of the Socialist Republic of Croatia by the pro-independence Croatian Democratic Union, relations between ethnic Croats and Croatian Serbs deteriorated. In August 1990, an insurrection took place in Croatia centered in predominantly Serb-populated areas of the country. These Serb-inhabited areas were subsequently named Krajina, after the Krajina declared its intention to integrate with Serbia. The government of Croatia declared it to be a rebellion. This conflict escalated into the Croatian War of Independence by March 1991. In June 1991, Croatia declared its independence as Yugoslavia disintegrated. A 3-month moratorium followed, after which the decision came into effect on the 8th of October. The village of Paulin Dvor had a population of 168 prior to the war, 147 of whom were ethnic Serbs. The inhabitants of the village were known to support Croatian authorities in Zagreb. Massacre. On the night of the 11th of December 1991, Croatian troops entered the village. 19 people, 18 Serbs and 1 Hungarian national, were detained in the house of a local man called Andrija Bukovic. Most of the village's 168 residents had already fled. The 19 victims were detained because they were non-Croats. According to police investigators, the troops became enraged after a Croatian soldier was killed by a Serb sniper in a nearby village. 10 Croatian soldiers are said to have burst into the Bukovic house and murdered all of the detained individuals before destroying the home. The victims died of gunshot wounds and of injuries caused by the hand grenades that were hurled at them. 17 bodies were subsequently moved from the site of the killings. Only the body of Dara Vujanovic, whose scalp had been removed, was left behind. The ages of the victims ranged from 41 to 85, and 8 of the 19 victims were women. Aftermath. The victims of the massacre were first buried near a military warehouse in Lug, near the town of Sepan. The village of Paulin Dvor and its surroundings were seized by Yugoslav People's Army units and Serb paramilitaries soon afterwards. The area remained outside of Croatian control until it was peacefully reintegrated into the country in January 1998. The remains of the massacred villages were relocated to the village of Risvanusa near Gospic in 1997 and remained there until the 13th of May 2002, when they were exhumed by investigators from the International Criminal Tribunal for the former Yugoslavia. In 2005, the Croatian Supreme Court sentenced Nikola Ivankovic, a former soldier who served in the Croatian Army's 130th Brigade, to 15 years in prison, while in May 2012 the district court in the town of Osijek sentenced former Croatian soldier Enis Viteskovic to 11 years in prison for his role in the deaths of 18 people. In November 2010, Croatian President Ivo Josipović laid a wreath at the graveyard of the massacre victims. He said, Those who are left behind, those victims, deserve our apology, and stated that a crime has no justification. Revenge cannot be justified by a crime. The wreath-laying ceremony came just after Serbian President Boris Tadic's visit to Vukovar to commemorate the Croatian victims of the 1991 Vukovar massacre. Part of the Croatian public saw the two visits as key to the reconciliation process, while another part condemned Josipovic's comments as an attempt to belittle the Vukovar massacre and an attempt to relativize the guilt for crimes committed during the war.